On August 17, 1943, the USAAF suffered staggering losses in the two-pronged attack against the Messerschmitt fighter factory at Regensburg and the ball-bearing plants at Schweinfurt, Germany. To split the German defense, these raids were supposed to occur simultaneously, with the Regensburg force landing at airfields in North Africa. Unfortunately, fog delayed the Schweinfurt force's takeoff, but the Regensburg force left on time. As a result, enemy fighters hit the first force, landed, rearmed, refueled, and then engaged the delayed second force. Without escort for much of the mission, the bombers faced wave after wave of Luftwaffe fighters alone. Although the raid caused heavy damage at both factories, 60 of the 376 bombers, about 1 in 6 of those dispatched, were shot down and more than 600 airmen were killed, missing, or captured. The Americans listed 55 of their bombers, with 552 crewmen, as missing after the August 17th double-target mission. About half of those became prisoners of war of the Germans, and 20 were interned in Switzerland. 60 aircraft were lost over German-controlled territory in Switzerland or ditched at sea, with 5 crews rescued. 7 aircrew were killed aboard bombers returning to base having completed the mission, and 21 were wounded. The 60 aircraft lost on a single mission more than doubled the highest previous loss at that time. There were also 55 to 95 additional aircraft badly damaged. Of those damaged, many were stranded in North Africa and never repaired. 3 P-47 Thunderbolts of the 56th Fighter Group and 2 RAF Spitfires were shot down attempting to protect the Schweinfurt force. Spitfire pilots claimed 13 German fighters shot down, and P-47 pilots claimed 19. Gunners on the bombers claimed 288 fighters shot down, but Luftwaffe records showed only 25 to 27 were lost. In Regensburg, all 6 main workshops of the Messerschmitt factory were destroyed or severely damaged, as were many supporting structures, including the final assembly shop. In Schweinfurt, the destruction was less severe but still extensive. The 2 largest factories, Kugel Fischer and Company and Vereinigte Kugelige Fabrik I, suffered 80 direct hits. 35,000 square meters of buildings in the 5 factories were destroyed, and more than 100,000 square meters suffered fire damage. All the factories except Kugel Fischer had extensive fire damage to machinery when incendiaries ignited the machine oil used in the manufacturing process. Albert Speer reported an immediate 34% loss of production, but both the production shortfall and the actual loss of bearings were made up for by extensive surpluses found throughout Germany in the aftermath of the raid. The industry's infrastructure, while vulnerable to a sustained campaign, was not vulnerable to destruction by a single raid. Speer indicated that the 2 major flaws made by the USAAF in the August strike were first in dividing their force instead of all striking the ball-bearing plants, and second, failing to follow up the first strike with repeated attacks. 203 civilians were also killed in the strike. While the battle resulted in a German victory, the scale and range of the American operation, along with the British-led Operation Hydra 1943 in the same day, shocked the German Air Command. The stress contributed to the suicide of Luftwaffe Chief of Staff Hans Jescheneck the next day. The Schweinfurt mission in particular foretold the failure of deep penetration raids of Germany without adequate long-range escort. The first bomb wing was over German-occupied territory for 3 hours and 30 minutes, of which 2 hours and 10 minutes, including all of the time spent over Germany itself, saw no fighter support whatsoever. When the second attack on Schweinfurt came on October 14th, the loss of more than 20% of the attacking force resulted in the suspension of deep raids for 5 months. Subscribe for more interesting videos.